Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to our research panel, Dr. Mahazril, Aini, Yaacob and Madam Aznita, Ustadi. Today we are going to present our research with title A Study on Factors Influence Knowledge of Nutritional Requirement for Health among Final Semester Degree Students of Bachelor in Administrative Science in FSPPP at UiTM Seremban 3. This research prepared by Izhaini Najihah Binti Izham and Binti Zulkipli and supervised by Madam NorMarliana Laili. Firstly, research background. Nutrition knowledge point out the knowledge, concept, and health and nutrition processes containing expertise of diet and health, disease and diet, nutrition in food sources, guidelines in dietary, and also the advice. People need to meet the nutritional requirement in daily life in order to have proper body functions and to ensure the optimal level in maintaining health. Past research shows nutrition information provided on food labels become vital nutrition information sources, unfortunately being underutilized by consumers. Then, this study was conducted to examine a factors influence knowledge of nutritional requirement and to examine the relationship between attitude, awareness, media influence from knowledge of nutritional requirement for health. We move on to the research question and research objectives. There are 4 research questions and 4 research objectives respectively. First research question, does student attitude influence the knowledge of nutrition requirement of the students? Second, does student awareness influence the knowledge of nutrition requirement? Third, does media influence the knowledge of nutrition requirement of the students? And what are the most influential factors toward the knowledge of the nutrition requirement? For the research objectives are the reflection from the research questions. This is the conceptual framework between independent variables and dependent variables. Attitude influence the knowledge of nutritional requirement for health. Awareness influence the knowledge of nutritional requirement for health, and media influence the knowledge of nutritional requirement for health. Next, independent variables and hypotheses. All the hypotheses for independent variables such as attitude, awareness, and media influence has significant relationship between the knowledge of nutritional requirement for health. We go to the research method. First, research design. This research using cross-sectional study and the survey in the form of quantitative method. Second, unit of analysis. The unit of analysis for this research refers to the individuals, that is the final semester degree student of Bachelor in Administrative Science in Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies in UiTM Seremban 3. Third, sample size. The proper sample size is 150 respondents. Then, the sample size is 201 respondents from 270 students in AM228 FSPPP. That refers to the final semester degree student of AM228 from FSPPP in UiTM Seremban 3. Then, sampling technique. The sampling technique used is convenience sampling in the probability sampling method, due to the involved the selection of units that accessible and convenient for researcher to reach. Data measurement for the first and last independent variables, attitude and media influence, and also the dependent variable, knowledge of nutrition requirement for health, was developed using Likert scale from strongly disagree until strongly agree, while the independent variable for level of awareness was developed using not all aware until extremely aware. For the data collection, the section is divided into 4. Section A, demographic profile. Section B, level of awareness. Section C, media influence. And Section D, attitude toward nutrition knowledge. And lastly, data analysis. Demographic profile is measured using frequency and also percentage. Then, the hypothesis is proved by using person correlation to find the relationship between the independent variables. While for the dependent variable, the researchers using multiple regression that used to find the most significant relationship or factor for the dependent variable.
Okay, first is I'm gonna present on the finding of our. Okay, first is I'm going to present on the finding of. Okay, first I'm going to present on the finding of our research, which indicate that our respondents are come from female, which is 140 from 201, and the average age of them is 22 to 23 years old, which indicates 71.6%, and the main CGPA for the respondent is 3.0 and above. For the most important part in the part A is, have you ever heard about the nutrition requirement? And most of them has answered yes, which is 157, while I'm not sure 42 and no 2%. Next, we move to the hypothesis testing. In here, we indicate the 4 objectives of our research. The first one is to identify the relationship between attitude and knowledge of nutritional requirement for health. Second is between awareness and knowledge of nutritional requirement. Third is to examine the relationship between media influence and knowledge of nutritional requirement. And lastly is the most significant factors and the knowledge for nutritional requirement for health. On the first 3 dependent variables, we analyze using the Pearson correlation. Meanwhile, for the last one, we are using the multiple regression. Moving to the next one is the implication of the study. The implication of our research is we mainly focus on the student, the parent, the public, and the government. For the student, we want them to be more aware with the amount of nutrition needed in their daily meal. Meanwhile, for the parent, they will be more knowledgeable about the nutrition needed by their children, so they will know what to prepare for the breakfast, dinner, and lunch. The public will be exposed to the right of the nutrition information that they need in order for them to improve their health. And lastly, for the government will be able to implement more awareness campaign so that they can give awareness to the society about the importance of the nutrition requirement and make them aware about the needed of it in our current communities. The next one is the limitation and future recommendation. For the first limitation is limited access of respondent. We suggest that the future researcher should be given more open scale of respondent because the nutrition requirement is the public issues, not only concerned with a certain group of people. So a lot of people should be involved and a lot of people can be a respondent to this research. Second is quantitative studies. The future recommendation, if we suggest that for the future researcher to use the qualitative studies because they can directly record the voice and record the data directly from the respondent, as they can get more accurate and detailed information for them to conduct the research as compared to the quantitative studies, as we mainly focusing and collecting our data on the secondary methods. And the next one is common method variation. The researcher should apply different method for the different variable, not using the same method, which is like we use for our first, second, and third dependent variable. And the last one is limited model. For this limited model, the researcher ought to use the other approach. The model is composition of other variables that can influence the study and will be more wider and more detailed. For the conclusion, as the conclusions, the main of our research is mostly to give awareness to the public, people, student, and the government, so that our future generation could be more prepared and knowledgeable about the nutrition requirements for health, especially among students, as we conduct this research and respondents are collected in the student of semester degree, student of Bachelor in Administrative Science of FSPPP in UiTM Seremban 3. This should give more awareness and information to them in order to reschedule their meal daily so that they can improve their health.